everyone, Miss Andrea here, and I'm coming back at you with our Easter story. So yesterday we started talking about Palm Sunday, and we introduced our first egg, which was the donkey. But before I get into the next egg, I want you to take a second and look at what I found yesterday. Imagine that Miss Andrea had a bunch of books about Easter, and I totally forgot, so I really wanted to share one with you, and it is this one. It is called Easter Love Letters from God. And there's a part in there about Palm Sunday that I wanted to share with you. So just bear with me as we go through this. I think you'll love it just as much as I do. It's called King of Kings. Look at this beautiful picture of Jesus riding in. It's gorgeous. It says, the donkey felt very special as he trotted down the road into Jerusalem with Jesus on his back. He had never carried a king before. The road was lined with people clapping and cheering. Everyone was there to welcome Jesus. Little children laughed as they waved their palm branches high in the air like flags. Hosanna, Hosanna, the crowd shouted as Jesus passed by. He was the only one they had heard about. Here was the king who could save them from their enemies. But how would he do that? He wasn't wearing armor, and he didn't look like he was ready for a fight. An earthly king would ride on a mighty horse, but Jesus was a heavenly king. He rode in on a quiet donkey. An earthly king would ride in with an army of strong soldiers, but Jesus rode in with an army of invisible angels. An earthly king would ride in carrying gleaming swords and weapons, but Jesus rode in carrying love, forgiveness, and peace. An earthly king would capture his enemies and take them to jail, but Jesus would free his enemies with love and lead them to heaven. The King of Kings stepped down from his donkey, patted it on the back, and turned toward Jerusalem. Jesus had only a few days left to live on earth, just a few days to show the world what love looked like. And so his last days began. And over here is a love letter from God. Dear children and all friends who are watching, when Jesus rode into Jerusalem, he didn't come to fight the Romans. My son came to fight hatred, sadness, and unkindness. And the only way to fight those enemies is with love. Jesus came to teach people how to love. He came to heal us from everything that hurts us and to fill our lives with joy, hope, forgiveness, and peace. The more you get to know Jesus, the more you'll discover that this can be your life too. Love God. Didn't you like that? I love that. Thanks for letting me share it. So, now it's time to unveil today's egg. It's a pink egg right here. You hear that? I wonder what's in there. Coins. Coins. Silver coins. Any ideas? Let's find out. And for today, I'm going to read the story out of this Bible right here. It's called 30 Silver Coins. The leader of God's people got together at the high priest's palace. They made plans to catch Jesus by some trick. Then they would kill him. They planned carefully. We won't do it while the Passover holiday is going on. If we do, the people might start fights against us. They said, Judas was one of Jesus' 12 special friends, but Satan took control of Judas now. So Judas went to the leaders at the worship house. He told them he could show them where Jesus was. What will you give me if I do? He asked. The leaders counted out 30 silver coins for Judas. Judas took the money, then he waited and watched. He looked for a time when no crowds were around. Every day Jesus went to the worship house to teach. People came out early in the morning to hear him. At the end of every day, he left the city. He spent the night on Olive Mountain. People had seen Jesus do many wonders, but many people still would not believe him or believe in him. So Isaiah's words came true. Isaiah said, "Who believed our news? Who did God show himself to?" Isaiah said something else. Their eyes can't see. Their hearts are dead. They don't see or understand. If they did, I would make them well. When Isaiah said this, he was talking about Jesus. Many of the Jewish leaders did believe in Jesus, but they didn't talk about it. They were afraid of the leaders who didn't believe. Because of those leaders, they might not get into the town's worship houses. They really loved cheers from people more than cheers from God. People who believe in me also believe in my Father. When you look at me, you see God, said Jesus. I came to the world to be a light. People who believe in me don't stay in darkness. Some people hear what I say, said Jesus, but they don't do what I say. I'm not here to blame them. I came to save them. And I apologize for not letting you know that I was on page 607 reading 30 silver coins. If you want to rewind and watch it again and follow along, or just read that again by yourself for those who have this Bible. For those of you who own or might have this Bible, there is a shorter version right here called 30 Silver Coins. It's on page 329. So those silver coins represent betrayal. Judas, who was one of Jesus's friends, one of his followers, one of his disciples who was with him through so much and watched so many amazing things, betrayed him for money. You see, the high priest didn't like Jesus or that he was calling himself the Son of God. They didn't want to believe who he was. So they made a plan to hurt him. And what you're going to see is Jesus knew this all along. It was all part of the plan. And because God is all-knowing, and because God is omnipresent everywhere, every time, every place, all the time, with everyone, he knew. And it was part of his plan. He knew what they were going to do. He knew what was in their hearts. And he knew, and Jesus knew. And they knew what Judas was going to do. And you'll find out soon enough in this story, Jesus will call Judas out on it. But right now, we have Palm Sunday, which is this coming Sunday with the donkey. And we have the silver coins right here representing Judas's betrayal. It's a sad part of it, but it's part of it. All right, friends, I'll catch you tomorrow.